I mean, GameWorks has been pretty controversial since it's been around, and it has come under some criticism. The main tool, or the main criticism even, has been that apparently it's mainly used as a business tool by Nvidia. Apparently, some are claiming it sabotages, other graphics cards without having any real benefit to consumers. So the competing GPU manufacturers, Intel and AMD, they actually both don't offer their own middleware platforms. They don't offer anything like GameWorks, and but because they can't see the code because it's all cut off, they're not able to see Nvidia's libraries, and they're not actually able to optimize their hardware for Nvidia optimized games. Some AMD gamers do report there's apps drastically lower performance on their Nvidia equivalents with games that use the GameWorks API. For me, Witcher 3, I remember before I installed it on my Nvidia card, it didn't run very well, and then it just ran absolutely beautifully. So I'm not doubting, potentially the quality of Nvidia Gameworks. Interestingly, from AMD's chief gaming scientist, Richard Huddy, he's claimed that developers who use Gameworks are contractually forbidden to work with AMD. And he also claims that GameWorks adds specific performance crippling effects to other AMD cards and older AMD cards. He's mentioned specifically there's unnecessary tessellation, and that only marginally affects the latest cards, but the older ones, it can cause quite a few performance related issues with it. So for me, the key thing is that AMD and Intel don't currently offer anything similar to that kind of software, and I think it's interesting to think what incentives the sort of game developers have to work with this kind of stuff instead of just like releasing for or optimizing for both platforms. So I guess Rob, really. So you're game developer. What incentives if game developer if GameWorks is making life more difficult for other developers, why do you think why do you think game developers would go and start making stuff optimized for GameWorks?
Well, like Jack said, and the same for me, the reason I bought an Nvidia graphics card was because I wanted to see the PhysX stuff on certain games at the time which were running it. And for a developer, I mean, that's an instant selling point. If you know that you can get more people who are going to buy your product because you can include something which is readily available, you're going to do it. I mean, we've seen it happen with developers and Nintendo. No one wants to develop for the Wii U because no one wants to buy a Wii U. So why are you going to spend time and resources making a game for a console that people may not have? So I think that's going to be the same sort of thing maybe for these graphics cards. But then with the other developers, the other manufacturers, they're whining that they're negative at this, but they can come up with their own things like Nvidia have. They just can't use what Nvidia owns. I don't quite see where the problems are with this. And rather than whining about what they're not allowed to access, make your own thing. Try and sell your hardware to developers, and developers will come to you. It's pretty much as simple as that in my mind.
And Jack, what are your thoughts on that, do you think?
I'd honestly agree with that. If someone's offering a product and no one else is offering a competing product, and that product is free and supposedly makes something better, I don't see a problem in that personally. Again, until I see a marked improvement and also the whole thing about AMD saying that it's crippling their cards, that just feels like something they would say, regardless of whether it did or not.
It is. You can definitely see the biases on each side. If Nvidia are offering, what Richard Huddy said is that people who work with Nvidia said that they can't work with AMD either to optimize their games. So there's clearly going to be some performance. I mean, it is quite anti-competitive in a way. If Nvidia are specifically making stuff in it just to make it more difficult for AMD, but obviously they would say that. I mean, and I don't think you could argue there's not even really a case for them opening up their platform to to AMD or Intel, because again, it's something that they've made, it's something that they've put their time into, and if they're the ones wanting to throw their weight around, they can. I think it might be a bit of a problem only at the moment because at the moment Nvidia are absolutely destroying AMD in the market. So I think what was it before we saw? I think it's about 3-to-1 graphics cards, or sorry, every one out two. Was it 2 out of every 3 graphics cards are Nvidia cards now, which means that they're wildly outnumbered in the market at the moment. And And yeah, it's anti-competitive, but without any other feasible solution, without AMD or Intel offering something else that allows better compatibility, then is it anything? But then again, the question pops up whether there's even a need for this kind of software to do this kind of stuff. Like, what is the point of this middleware? Why do you need this middle thing? Acting as a bridge between the graphics card and the game when you can just have them interacting directly like it does on AMD cards. So, maybe it is just a completely anti-competitive tool. I don't know.
Well, my gut feeling with it is that Nvidia have presented themselves, or have been presented, as, if you want a good quality graphics card, if you want a top end, if you want to play games, you get Nvidia. If you're trying to save money, you get AMD. And I think, you could argue that maybe this from Nvidia is them pushing that brand image of we are for gamers who want the best looking games, and that's what we offer.
I reckon chat are going to go crazy about what you just said then. Anyone with an AMD card. Maybe not though, probably. People saying, AMD are going out of business. They have been going out of business pretty long. They're only worth about $1 billion now. So, Gameworks. I'm sure we can...
Didn't they have the last 4 quarters in loss? And they've published that, haven't they? And they've said that they're looking towards a promising future, and that they're confident that the next quarter is going to go well for them, which I'm not sure where they're getting that from, but yeah.
Someone's just got to buy them and fix them. That's what's going to happen.
Looks like someone's agreed with me in chat. How about that, Tim? How about them apples?
There we go.
Same for CPUs. What other CPU manufacturers are there than Intel? AMD, obviously.
AMD.
But there's no others, are there?
No. Don't think so.
There are, they're not as in the market as those two.
No. Then you are really going cheaper. You're not going AMD or Intel. Jesus. I don't know what else you'd buy. Cool. So, if you are joining... So, actually, before we go on, someone told me once, I think it was on this show maybe, that they said... is that word definitely? That if you buy a game that's optimized for AMD and Nvidia, like, when you load up the game and it says optimized for AMD or optimized for Nvidia... Someone told me that it basically works out what graphics card you have, because a lot of them work at both companies, and then it says, like, just depending on what graphics card you have, what it's optimized for, and it just shows the different sponsor message at the beginning of the game. I don't know if that's true, but if it is, that's quite funny as well, I think.
A little bit shady, but yeah.
Well, I guess it's not lying, but you're just not showing the other's message as well.